What's up guys, today I'm going to show you how to get your car to start and idle with aftermarket injectors, and then I'm also going to show you how to do a little street tune to get it running just right. So we are going to be using Crome. I have a higher version, but everything that I'm going to be doing and showing you is going to be stuff that you can do on Crome free, and also use Freelog for data logging. So what we're going to do is load my tune. I had a tune that was working with the stock injectors, well, Y8 injectors, so I'm going to open that up. And you want something to go off of, so if you don't have a tune, if you're doing this for the first time, you want to find one that's closest to like your stock motor to work with. So first, what you want to do with your tune that you loaded up is you want to go into plugins and you want to remove the checksum and then add data logger, and then you also want to add extra features if you want launch control and things like that. So I've already done all of that, so I'm not going to mess with that. What we want to do is we want to add fuel tools, so we're going to go ahead and do that. So now we can click up here and go into multiplier calculator. What the fuel tools does is puts this advanced tab here. So in the main tab, alright, so now what we want to do is put your new injector size right there. I'm going to put 450cc, so I'm running DSM blacktop injectors, and you can see it adjusts the multiplier down there. And now we're going to hit OK, and the next thing that we want to do is go into the advanced tables and go down to the battery offset, and there's going to be some presets here. And if your injectors are in here, you're going to want to pick them from this preset. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my DSM injectors right there. You can see the curve changes. And now what we want to do to get the car to idle at the air-fuel ratio that we want, my tune that I had was idling at 16 AFR, so that's what I want it to idle at. So I'm going to burn this and run it in the car and see where it's at. And then what we want to do is go into advance here, and we want to change this offset. So by 10 at a time, if you add to it, it's going to add fuel. Technically, if it's running too rich, we might have to mess with this multiplier a little bit. But if it's running too lean, then we want to add to here. So we're going to get it to idle perfectly. And then you can mess with this other stuff. You're going to want to look it up in the intermediate Chrome guide. I'll put it in the description. It kind of explains what all of this stuff does. It will help your car. If you make adjustments here, you can add fuel, like more fuel when you're cranking, more throttle after the car starts, things like that, to get it to run right, because it's probably not going to start perfect. But you should be able to get it to start and idle, even if it has a hard time. You should be able to get it to start and idle just fine, just by messing with these. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm actually going to write this to the chip and go try to start the car and see what happens. So I did make a mistake here. I just want to point it out. I picked the wrong injectors. So I have 2G blacktop injectors. So I'm going to switch to that one. And it did change a little bit, so it does matter. Alright, here's the first attempt for starting the car with the new injectors. Nothing. Alright, I'm going to try to figure some stuff out. Alright, so one more crank and we got it to start. And it's not running on all the cylinders, so I think something went wrong with my injector install. I don't think it's the tune. So I'm going to figure that out, and then I will get back with you guys. So, crazy story. It's idling right now, very lean, barely idling, but this is fine. I can adjust the fuel to get this to work. It's firing on all cylinders. Well, I mean, it's misfiring because it's so lean, but it's not misfiring evenly anymore. It was cylinder number 3. The injector wasn't firing for some reason. Everything seemed to be plugged in and everything. I don't know what the deal was. I unbolted the fuel rail, and I'm going to shut this off because I'm going to have to turn up the offset a whole bunch. But I took out the fuel rail and I swapped that injector with cylinder 2 to see if it was a wiring issue, to see if the issue would follow the injector or follow the wiring. And when I started it back up, all of them were firing. So I'm thinking maybe it just wasn't plugged in all the way. Well, all of them are firing now, so we can go ahead and continue, but I got to go back to work, and then I will show you after work. Okay, so I want to apologize. It's been a little bit of time since I've actually even done the injectors, so I don't remember everything that I did to get everything working properly, but I can show you one of the things that I did was I ended up with a 12 offset to get that 16 air-fuel ratio that I was looking for. Currently editing this, and I realized I never really mentioned this. So I'm doing this on a D16Y7, meaning I don't have VTEC at all. So I kind of disregard all VTEC maps and everything like that for this entire video. So if you're setting up your first tune, you want to set up the low cam maps anyway, so you will have VTEC disabled and you can follow this step by step. And then once you enable VTEC, you should still be able to go through this entire process and apply it. Certain things will be a little bit different. I think Freelog might map VTEC on the high cam map. I'm not entirely sure, but you can figure it out for yourself. Unfortunately, I don't really have any experience with that because I've only worked with non-VTEC. Just wanted to throw that out there. Another thing that I did is I went through my map and I rearranged it a little bit. I basically made it so, from here, this corner to this corner, you're constantly increasing. From here to here, you're also constantly increasing. And there's no values that are like, you don't go from 376 to 392 to 378. You know what I mean? So there's nothing like that in there. You have a way smoother map, which I would recommend doing if you haven't done that already. And then from there, I'll show you how to go ahead and data log and tune. I'm doing this on my desktop computer, so I haven't been doing any tuning on this computer. I can kind of show you from the start, except I do already have my HuLog installed. I'll show you how to do that though. What you're going to want to do is download the drivers for your HuLog. On Windows 10 it's a little bit difficult, but I'm going to show you. So we're going to do HuLog drivers. If you're using a Nokia cable, I don't have any experience with that, so I don't know if the process is different. But for the HuLog, you're going to go to this page and you're going to click here to download the drivers for Windows 10. For the other ones, I'm sure you guys could figure it out using these other links, but Windows 10, you're going to go here and you're going to download this folder of 64-bit. So I'm going to download that. Now give me a second, I'm going to copy this to my desktop really quick. So now I have it on my desktop. What we're going to do is just extract this. And I can delete that now. We can take a look in here and you can see this is what they give you for your drivers, which you might not know what to do with. So what you actually end up having to do is go into the device manager. We're going to do that by right clicking on PC and going to properties and then device manager. You're going to see your uninstalled device in here. It's probably going to be listed under COM. One thing that you want to keep in mind is this number that you see right here, so COM6. It might be different for you. You're just going to want to pay attention to that. So to install it, you want to right click and then go to update driver, and you want to browse your computer for the driver, and you just want to browse to this folder and it'll install the driver for you. It's actually pretty simple. The next thing that you want to do is just right click on this and go to properties, and then we have to go into port settings and you want to change the bits per second to 38400. If you don't change it to this, you leave it at 9600, it's not going to read fast enough when you're data logging. I made that mistake before, so make sure that's set up correctly and then you're ready to start data logging. So one thing that you want to make sure on your tune is that data logging is enabled. So on the actual tune itself in Chrome, I'll show you that. You can open up your tune and you go to plugins and then enhancements and quick data logger if you haven't done that already. That will enable data logging on your tune. Write that to the chip. So now I'm gonna show you how to open up or set up Freelog. Just throwing this in here really quickly because I forgot. When you download Freelog, you can just search in Google for it. And you want to make sure that you're downloading this one right here from Freelog-open source-data logger, whatever this website is. If you download this top one from SourceForge, it actually doesn't work. So make sure you download this 1.0.93 from this website right here. Go ahead and open it up. And you want to go into the settings. Let's see here. Tools, settings. You want to pick the correct COM port. So mine was COM6. And then I am going to look up the settings here really quick. Okay, Now I checked the settings with my other computer to see, and it turns out I actually didn't change any of this stuff. I don't know why it's highlighted all of a sudden. I didn't do that. But I didn't change any of these settings. I left them all the same. And make sure yours says Chrome 1.4 up here so the data logging works properly. And here you don't have to do anything. And here, actually, this is really important. So we're going to set a wideband table. And one of the biggest complaints about Freelog is that it always reads the air fuel ratio off. And I did not find this online. I had to figure this out myself. You actually have to go in here in formulas and change O2 to use the wideband table. It doesn't do that automatically. So it's always going to read the wrong readings. I wasted a whole entire day trying to figure out data logging just because of this stupid setting. So make sure that that's set right there. And then you want to go into your RPM scaler. This actually has to match your tune that you're working with. So pull up your tune in Chrome, and you want to make sure that these match. So take a look at this over here. We got 500, and then this needs to be changed. You can just hit the space bar to clear each field. The last field and the first field are always going to be the same. So we have 594, 805, 1000, 5624, and 6496. Okay, and we're going to hit apply. The next thing that we have to do is match our map scalars as well. So I'm actually going to move this window out of the way a little bit here so that we can see that a little better. And you can see we only have 10 columns right here. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to say 10 columns. And then this last column is actually a boost column. I don't know why this automatically says negative 0.3. It's actually positive 0.3. So switch that over. And I think the rest of them should match up. Yep, they do. Okay, so I'll apply. The last thing that we want to do is the wideband. For the LC2 wideband that I have, here's another thing. A lot of people think that you have to fill this whole table. You don't. So you just, over here for your 0, mine reads 7.35. And then for 5 volts, for 5 volts, mine reads 22.4. Oops. Okay, and we'll just hit apply. Now, another thing to keep in mind is if you find that it's off in the middle, you can actually move this 5 volt down here and put like another middle value in here to make it a little bit better. Okay, so I'm in the middle of editing and I realized I kind of forgot something. When you're data logging, you have to run your wideband through your ECU. It's pretty simple to set up. You just have to splice into your wideband wire on, well, I have an LC2, but whatever one sends the reading to your gauge. Splice into that and you have to run that to the O2 pin on the ECU. You just cut the O2 wire and you can put connectors on it so you can plug it back in when you're done tuning if you want to actually use an O2 sensor. There's instructions online. I'm not really going to go through that. Just look it up online. Look up how to wire your wideband to your ECU. And then you'll be able to data log with that information. Now the ECU maxes out at 3.8 volts, which is like 18 point something AFRs. You don't need to read leaner than that. There's like a mod to mod your ECU so that it reads up to 5 volts. It's pointless. Don't even bother with that. Just run it exactly how I'm telling you to set it up right here. Just look up online how to wire the wideband into your ECU. Now, by default, this quad cell averaging is enabled. In this enable gear logging, I just turn that off. Now, the quad cell averaging, this might work even better. I'm not entirely sure on whether you should use this or not. I actually don't use it. I have it disabled. But you might even get a better tune or have to do less work with this enabled. So you can play around with that if you want. I'm going to hit apply right here. This just the way that I have it. Okay, and now you're all set up and you can start data logging. What you have to do is just hit start right here and it'll connect. As you can see, it's connected because it detected my hue log. If you don't get the correct readings here, if this reads like 11 at all times and this stuff's showing weird stuff, you probably have your cable plugged into your ECU backwards, so try flipping it over. Or you might have like a Chrome Gold ROM or something like that. You can't use this with a Chrome Gold ROM. It has to be a P30 base, or P72 I think works as well. So we're going to hit stop. You can switch between cam and idle. There's going to be 2 different maps, and by default this is set
to record every 15 hits, I believe. You can change that somewhere. Right here, it averages those 15 and records with that. But I leave it at 15. It seems to work. If you go on a long drive, that shouldn't be an issue. So after you save your data log file, you get something that looks like this. So here's the TPS capture first. You can ignore that. Just scroll all the way down. We have the gear logging turned off. That's why all these are showing nothing. And then you have your low cam. This is what you're looking for right here. This is your driving air fuel ratios, and then you have your idle right here. Generally what I do is I combine the two. I just replace this section down here with the idle section. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to have an Excel file that's basically going to do the tuning for you. I have that right here in this tuner file. I also have another one right here, which is an average calculator. So if you want to do 2 data logs, then calculate the average and then tune, you can do that. I'm probably going to create a GitHub or something like that and link these files in it for you guys. First, I'm going to show you the average calculator. So one thing that I like to do sometimes is take the average of 2 data logs, which we can do right now. So I'm just going to open up this data log, and then I have another one right here. We can just open up both of them. So if we take a look, the first one, we want to go down to our low cam, and we can copy this whole section. And then I have this average calculator right here. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And we can paste it right here in sheet 1. I think I've already pasted this, but yeah, it's already pasted. And then take the low cam from sheet 2 right here, or from the second data log, I mean, take the low cam from here and then paste it into sheet 2, which I have also already done. And then the way this works is basically if it's 0, if both of them are 0, it leaves it 0. If one is 0 and one is a number, it takes the number from that one. Or if they're both a number, it calculates the average. So we can kind of see right here, you know, sheet 1, there's nothing right here in these two, and then sheet 2, they have values here. So if you look at sheet 3, it has those two values from sheet 2. The rest of the values you can see are averaged. So this gives you kind of an average data log between the two of them. Then you can take this data log and paste it into your tuner Excel file, which I'm going to show you next. So I'm actually going to close out of this. We're just going to use the second data log that I have. We're not going to use an average. So go ahead and close out of that. Here's the second data log. What I like to do is take this whole low cam profile right here. We're going to copy it, and then I have this tuner file, which is kind of going to do all the math for us and give us a new map. So we're going to paste that right here in the data log section. So we paste that, then you can see there's kind of nothing in this idle section here. We need to grab the idle from the data log as well. So we're going to go down here to the idle section, and generally what I do is I just grab these 3 fields right here, these 3 columns, and I go down to 1296. I'm going to copy this, and we're going to paste it in right here. Now one thing to kind of keep in mind is it's going to overwrite some of these values with zeros, and we kind of don't really want to do that. So really we only want to paste the ones that have values in it, so we can kind of put them side by side to do that. So we'll go ahead and shrink this down, and then same thing with this one. We'll shrink this down a little bit and move it over to the side. Then we can kind of just, you know, grab these 2 right here, or these 4, copy them, and paste them right here. And then we can grab like these 4 right here, or these 3, copy, and then paste these. And then this last one right here, this 16.5, copy that, and that goes right here. Because generally I find that you want to use the idle values in this area, not the drive values in this area, because you're never really driving down here, you're always idling down here. So that's where I get those values from. And then we can use this to tune. So now at this point we can close out of our data log. And the way that this works is you have your data log right here in the first sheet. The second sheet is your target air fuel ratios. Now I'm going to explain this to you. This is like a really good target for naturally aspirated motors. At least this is what I like to do. So in cruising areas and idling, I like to be at 16. And then I like to work my way up as you get more into the throttle. I also like to add more fuel as you get to like the very, very high RPMs, just to be safe. I mean, you're never really going to be in this area over here, but I like to do this just to be safe. So you can see I gradually kind of go down. I go from 16 to 14.7 to 13.1. Now this last column right here, we never hit this. So I always just leave that 13.1 and the one above it, 13.1. Now, if you look here, you can see as you get into the throttle, you get a little bit more, cruising air fuel ratios. And then right around here, I like to start gradually going down towards this 13.1. Generally, my car doesn't really hit this last column. This is like a boost column. Even if you were negative 0.3, my car doesn't really hit it for some reason. I've tried that too. So I kind of just ignore this a little bit. It seems to hit this column like down here, right towards the end, maybe for a couple of them. But other than that, not really. It kind of stays in this column, which I like to leave around 13.4, except for like right at red line. So these are just the target air fuel ratios. You can use something similar to this if you're naturally aspirated. Otherwise, you can make your own, really whatever you want to be, as long as it's a safe tune. This multiplier, basically what that does is it takes your current air fuel ratios from your data log and compares them to your target, and basically creates the difference right here. So basically, what I keep saying basically, but what this does is it divides your air fuel ratio that you're getting by your target air fuel ratio and finding out the difference and then multiplying it by 1. So if you need more fuel, you're going to add, like for this one, this is about 7%. You're multiplying by 1. It takes all the zeros and makes those ones as well, so the numbers are being multiplied by themselves. You don't really have to understand this too much. I'm going to upload this file so that you can use it. But you can see, for example, here there's too much fuel, so it has to take some out. So you multiply by 0.975. Then, once you determine your multipliers, you want to take your current map. This is not my current map. I'm going to grab it from Chrome. So you take your current map like this, and you copy the whole thing and go back into the Excel file, and you can paste your current fuel map in right here. Then this last thing, what it does is it takes your current fuel map and it multiplies it by the multiplier, giving you a brand new fuel map. So all you have to do is just copy this and then paste this into Chrome. We should be able to select the whole thing here, yep, and paste, and then you have your new fuel map. Now when you're doing this, when you're all done, basically I kind of just write this and I do another data log and then I write that and I do another data log and write that. It gets a little messy. You start to see stuff like this. It goes, let's see, it goes from 338 to 341 to 335. Obviously that's not very good. You don't want it to go up and then down. So eventually you're going to get something pretty extreme from this. What I like to do is kind of, take your highest value from here, which is about 355, 354, and paste it down here at the bottom. We're going to put 355, 356, similar. It doesn't really matter. And then go all the way up to, somewhere up here where it's still gradually increasing. So maybe this 296 right here, and press P to interpolate. And then that is going to give you a gradually increasing number right in the same fuel range that you need to be. Then when you're all done, what I normally do is take this, once you've done this to the whole thing, is you take this bottom row and I copy it, I paste it down here. You're never going to hit this number, but you're going to hit in between these two. So I usually increase this by like 3%. So if we hit A, we can adjust this, increase it by 3%, and you have that there. Same thing goes for this, because you never really hit this, or at least I don't. I take this last field and I add 3 to 5% right here. And then you have your map. So you'll have like an even number here, and it'll be increasing this way, it'll be increasing this way. And the last thing that I like to do is select the whole map and press S to smooth the whole map, and it gives you a little bit better of a tune. And then you can write that and then test it, data log, make adjustments that you need to make, whatever you need to do. I was watching what I did earlier and I realized that these values were kind of wrong based on, or after I interpolated. So what you want to do is make sure that they stay correct in the right area. So when you do some kind of interpolation, right, like this, you want to maybe select a smaller area, make sure after you do it these are still all in the same range. So we'll go ahead and apply to this section. You can see these move down quite a bit. So if something like that happens, you want these to be in like the 320 range right here. What you could do is pick this one to be, you know, this one could be more like 320, and then interpolate this section. That looks good. And then you can go from 320 to 342 right here. That's a good section. We can interpolate that section. And then up here you have your 354. I'm actually going to put the 354 right here. And then do the same thing to this section. And then take this last section and we could go up to like 360. So we'll do 360 and interpolate that section. Then you have a section right here that's proper. This is actually what you're looking for. Make sure that your values stay in the same range, that your tune's the same but smoother. Do that to each column and then smooth the whole thing, and you'll notice that it is increasing properly. And that's really how I go about tuning my car. So like I said, I'll link some of this stuff in the description so you can use it yourself. If you have any questions, just let me know. If I miss something, I might come in and explain it before I post this video, because I'm going to watch it and edit it before I post it. But for now, thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and peace out.